we will jump onto your number 2 now.
That's awesome. All right, so a bit of context for this one. So for anyone who doesn't know, and Charlie, you probably do know very well, I have been quite a bit of a digital nomad throughout most of my business life, from opening a business.
The whole audience is shocked right now. Everyone's like, I can't believe Grant said that.
See, there you go. You were shocked. To living in a warehouse, which was a kids' party venue when I first started businesses. That was great. To moving overseas, I did Europe for a couple of months, to going and living in the Philippines, to sort of then traveling up the east coast of Australia. And doing these things means that the locations that I work in are not always conducive to a productive environment, Charlie, is the way I shall put it.
Hang on. Are you telling me you've been to a co-working place where no work is going on? It's just a bunch of people hanging out?
Although I will say, like, every single person does tell you how good their idea is, though, as opposed to executing the idea. Like, it's fantastic, Charlie. Like, I can't go to co-working space anymore. Like, yes, we'll leave it on that point. But, like, when I was going up the east coast of Australia, like, we were going 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom places just so I could go and buy a desk. I've bought way too many desks and chairs to go and jam them against, like, a guest bed in, like, Gold Coast or in, like, Noosa and things like that. So this, in 2022, I moved from Noosa back down to Melbourne, which was a big win. However, this one trumps it. And I got a dedicated office in my own house where it was just unlimited budget. I've got the desk set up that I want, everything set up that I want. And this thing has produced, I would argue, probably the greatest return on investment outside of anything that I've purchased previously. I think the investments I've made, the productivity that I've had, the revenue we've generated, etc., from this setup has been like second to none. I think the focus is there. I think everything has come from here. And as I was looking through this list, I'm like, this is one of the greatest unlockers that I've had, especially when I look back over the last decade of locations that I've worked in and shit that I've had to deal with. I'm like, this is it. Like, this was the hands down, probably the number one investment of 2022 is a dedicated home office.
I'm astonished and impressed this made the list. Like, personally, I believe people underinvest in having a good work setup. It's something I've really noticed. And like, if you think about that compounding of not having the right setup, I think over a lifetime, it could make a huge difference there. What have you found to be like the biggest difference? Like I must admit I'm someone who's fairly hermity at this stage of life. So I've had this set up had a setup for quite a while. What have you noticed as like the biggest difference?
Before I answer that question, I'm just going to put on record the word hermity. I'm totally for that. I like the concept of hermity. I don't even know if that's a word. That's awesome. I
need to be stable in my office because the unstableness of a toddler can mean that life gets really interesting. I can only imagine the challenge of like trying to be nomadic with toddler or young kids is like would just be chaos. So it's like, anyway, overcompensation of stableness in work life to be less stable there. Anyway, topic for another day.
So I'll probably answer your question by telling a couple of stories. So like, for example, when I was in Gold Coast, we had this gorgeous apartment right on the beach, but I literally got a measuring tape out because it came fully furnished, and I set myself up in the guest bedroom. And so we had a double bed. I had to move the double bed all the way to the side and then measure how much space I could fit a desk in, and then go and buy a desk that fits in that space. And so you could imagine, like, the monitor had to be small to fit it. The laptop was kind of precariously sitting on the edge of the desk, and I'm kind of sitting on this really cheap desk chair because I knew that I was going to get rid of it all in 9 months. And so like when I walked into this, it wasn't inviting. It wasn't this place that I'm like, I can't wait to like be here. Like every time I jumped on a recording with you, Charlie, I was like trying to like cut off the bed in like a camera of like, oh, don't get the bed in it kind of thing.
And the sun. We had to time the recordings because of the light.
And then I couldn't put like actual like recording lights like I've got here. I got big lights sort of shining at me. And so there were all these things that just turned this place into, and it wasn't an inconvenience. It was just not as inviting. Like I didn't want to be there. It was more of a, I'll go there, I'll do something and I'll leave, which meant that I went and worked at cafes more. I went and worked sort of down on the beach more, which again is not conducive to being highly productive or highly focused or anything like this. It's good to get out and about. But So the biggest change for me was having a place that like I come in, I close that door and it's like completely separate from everything else. Like I actually feel like I'm not in the house, not anywhere in it. Hazel knows like second that door's closed, like she's not coming in. Like this is my space. And so it was having a place that I wanted to be, but then the second part was having it completely separate to everything that I was doing. So I don't use this room for anything else besides revenue producing activities. Like that is it. It's like full stop. Anything else outside of this room.
It's like putting on the uniform, right? It's like if you're going to go to the gym, you put your workout clothes on. It's like you kind of know at an like subconscious level what's about to happen. The body gets into that mode. And I will say, let's imagine you got a important meeting you've got to go to. It's like you want your brain focused on the meeting, not the hiding of the bed. And if you're setting up your life to be hiding a bed or working with those types of things, I can really see it making a difference in like results in business in a huge way. So I can actually understand on that merit alone why this would make your list.
Totally. And so like even the little things of, because we do podcasts, like just being able to flick a couple of switches and be podcast ready, as opposed to like, oh, I'm just going to set up a microphone, I got to set up a camera, I got to sort of, is it the right time of day? Is it all these kind of things? Like there was so many things that got unlocked by having the investment into a home office. And it definitely wasn't the most expensive thing that I've ever spent. It definitely wasn't the hardest thing to set up or anything like that. Like all it was, hey, let's just go and get one more bedroom in a house, like pretty rudimentary. And then that was kind of it. And then the final thing that I put on top of it is the flexibility. Like you and I will say, hey, let's go and do something else. Or we'll talk about my background of like, hey, let's go and change a background, put a TV up, do whatever I want. And like, ain't no one going to tell me that I can't. I'm not fighting with other furniture in here. Like I decided to put this couch in here because I wanted it in here. Like the freedom just to do whatever I want in this space is the greatest thing. If I think something else is going to make me more productive, like a 10th screen, I'm getting a 10th screen. If I think that, I don't know, another light will make me look better, I'll get another light. Like all of that freedom of creativity is probably the final cherry on top that I'll put in. But yeah, I've ranted a lot about a home office and how it has been the greatest investment, Charlie, but you can tell by the sound of my voice, like 110%. I think this thing has just unlocked so much.
Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into creating wealth inside and outside your business, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.